Hello, everyone, and welcome again to this second part of the episode 3. Continuing with our BharatNatyam journey, I can say that BharatNatyam is as old as 150 years in Gujarat, if not more. And if I trace the roots of the dance, then I go to the music school in Baroda. So in 1883, Maharaja Gaikwad III got married to Princess of Tanjore Lakshmi Bai, and as her dowry, she got a troupe of dancers and musicians along with her to Baroda. And these dancers were Devdasis, they are temple Devdasis. Princess Lakshmi Bai got to be known as Maharani Chimna Bai, and the Bharatnatyam dance, which otherwise would have died with those Devdasis, continued the tradition and has spread across the state due to the patronage of Maharaja. The Gaikwad was a great visionary and a generous patron who had many academicians, artists, musicians, dancers in his court. In fact, he started the first music school. He called it as Gyan Shala in India. And this Gyan Shala has given out many gurus of art, be it music, be it dancing. And of many gurus, there are a couple that I want to mention in particular. The two that have been very instrumental in spreading Bharatnatyam in Gujarat. And in fact, you can say that today's dancers are the third or the fourth generation from these gurus. They are Guru Sri Kubernath Tanjorkar and Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar. Guru Sri Kubernath Tanjorkar belonged to the Tanjore Quartet, and he was a student of one of the greatest pioneer gurus of Bharatnatyam, Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai. And he spent a large portion of his dancing career in Gujarat, in Baroda. In fact, after he retired from the music school, he started his own dance academy. And likewise, Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar, he belonged to a different style of dancing, which is Kalakshetra. He was a student of Kalakshetra Foundation and was trained by the founder Rukmini Devi Arundel. So, like many other classical dance forms, Bharatnatyam also has different styles, different gharanas. But these days it's usually difficult to make out a particular style because nowadays the styles have blended. Like teachers have many gurus, and the artists have many gurus, and these gurus have been trained with different styles of dancing. So there are a lot of modifications to the Bharatnatyam dancing style these days. Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar, I was very fortunate. He passed away this June, but I was quite fortunate to have attended one of his lecture demonstrations when I was in the US. And he was such a great guru that he showed an entire dance. He demonstrated an entire dance just through eye movements. So I was left spellbound. I couldn't say anything after I watched him perform that. This was the second dance that we learned in the workshop. It's a kirtanam, and the choreography is a blend of both nrita and nritya. So it has footwork and expressions in proportion. Before I get into the guru of the dance, the instructor for this part, I would actually like to talk a little bit about the candidates or the attendees of this workshop, trying to build a base for discussing some of the concerns that I have about these dance workshops. So, some of these were students, they were still probably in their first or second year of learning, or maybe even third year. But a few were teachers, a couple of them were teachers, one was a performing artist, one was preparing for her Arangetram. Then the organizer of the workshop, Daniel Singh, he joined for the workshop, and he actually is a graduate of University of Maryland in Fine Arts. So he's trained himself in other forms of dancing than and not just Bharatnatyam. He has his own dance company. Likewise, there was another participant who's actually a student of both Braga Basil and the another guru, and he's also a performing artist, Sai Radhakrishnan. So there was a wide variety of students ranging from a returning student like me to performing artist, and to design a workshop that could accommodate such wide range of students is a stupendous task in itself. Our second instructor for the workshop was Leela Sampson, and by the time we were to start second dance, we had only half a day left with us, and there's a very funny incident surrounding her. So we were just finishing up with the first dance, with sharing notes, and Braga Akka was winding up, and suddenly she entered, and every student but me went to her, touched her feet, took her blessings, and I was standing in one corner, not knowing who she is. I thought she was a senior dance person who has come to visit during the workshop. Turned out that she was actually teaching that day, and she's Leela Sampson. And she immediately, because there was so little time left for us, she immediately started teaching. So I could not talk to her at the beginning of the workshop. And that day, strangely, she decided not to teach because there was less time left. We were already quite loaded with the first dance, and the dance that she was going to teach, which was the kirtanam. Majority of the students there knew the dance. So she said that we'll just do a revision of the dance, and I think I was the one, and there was one more student who probably didn't remember the choreography, but she asked us that you can follow Sai. Sai Radhakrishnan is a part of her dance troupe, and he is well aware of the choreography. So all of us were asked to follow him in case there was any issue. So it turned out to be a revision session for us, for at least majority of them, and I tried to follow the dance, but it was almost impossible to get the dance. So this was the second dance of the workshop, and these are the gurus like Braga Akka or Leela Sampson. These are the gurus that even if you don't have their profile, you just spend 5 minutes with them and you know where they come from or what caliber they are of, and you likely don't need their resume. But I think it was necessary, at least for students like me who are not that familiar, because I would say not all Bharatnatyam dancers are familiar with Bharatnatyam gurus or Bharatnatyam artists. And I think it's a good practice to share the instructor profile beforehand. So as for Leela Sampson, she's a Padma Shri awardee. She's not only a Bharatnatyam dancer, she's a writer, she's an actor. She was trained at Kalakshetra in both classical dancing and music by Rukmini Devi Arundel. She has been even the director of Kalakshetra from 2005 to 2012. She has her own dance company, Spanda, and she performs across the globe. I mean, this was her profile, but I wasn't aware of it, and the reason being that Bharatnatyam has traveled is now no longer just restricted to Tamil Nadu where it originated. It has traveled across India, across the globe, and not all of us are familiar with these gurus. So, as concluding remarks, I bring up listed down some of the concerns I have, or I thought these are issues that needs to be addressed. So the first one being the profile of the instructors in such workshops and what they are proficient in. Like Braga Bessel is known for her expertise, her command over Abhinaya, her teaching methodology, because these gurus that come from the southern part of India, they are household names. So you would probably hear two Bharatnatyam dancers chatting about these gurus and asking each other if they would know this particular choreography. But that is not true when you move out of the southern region, and this workshop is happening in Washington DC. So I think it was necessary and it would help if you're organizing such workshops in the future to lay out a profile for the instructor, their preferences, their style of teaching, and the dances that they plan to go through that in that particular workshop. The second concern I had was a prerequisite. So, I mean, I am thankful and likely they took me as an exception to this workshop. But otherwise, a returning student like me after 15 years was likely not an ideal candidate for this workshop. So I might have been included saying that you're joining at your own risk. You may not be very benefited. So some kind of a prerequisite if could be put on such workshops, that would help both, I think, the instructors and the students. The third concern that I have is there is a different style to teaching. So when I learned the dance in Gujarat, I've been taught in a different way. When you go to the southern India, you're taught in a different way. When you go to northern India, you're taught in a different way. So likewise, when you are in the states, when you are outside of the country, even if you are an Indian, you likely have gotten used to their style of learning. So a workshop without a whiteboard just does not make sense. So I could not imagine a workshop without a white box. Though I have a whiteboard, though I have learned Bharatnatyam in India. But I'm so used to the US method of teaching now that I hoped, and in fact, even after the workshop, I thought that a whiteboard would have been really great. Like if she could write down things on whiteboard, she could draw some pictures, she could explain it. It's easier to take notes. It's easier to understand. So the adaptation to the teaching methods when you are moving out of the region, just to be more inclusive, and that's that's my fourth concern, or the fourth issue that I want to put forth to these gurus and the performing artists, that a bit of inclusion to the dance form would work wonders. So as I said, that day Leela Sampson, she decided not to teach, but the dance that she had selected, she it had both parts to it. So it had Nrutya and Abhinaya. And her style of teaching was that whenever there is a Nrutya form, she gets into the calculation of the tal. So she would search what beats are, what's the rhythm, how many gaps are in those, and she got into that. Like even though she wasn't teaching, it was just a revision, she immediately got into the calculation of the dance. And the moment she got into the calculation, her language of conversation changed from English to Tamil. And I felt completely left out at that point. So most of the attendees were from the southern part of India. They were familiar with the language, so they could understand what she was saying, what she was talking. I could only get the math part of it, but I didn't understand the conversation. So I didn't feel included for that particular dance. And that's also alongside the profiling of the gurus. So if you can be more inclusive, to accommodate for foreign students, or to accommodate for students who come from a different state of India, so that's the only way you are going to help spread this dance. Because I mean, there is so much of influence these days of Western style of dancing, of Bollywood. There's already an adaptation to the Bharatnatyam form. So it's a very delicate balance to achieve, to spread the dance and yet adhere to the original form of the dancing, or the originality of that dancing. But I mean, who better than gurus to do it? So I think inclusion is a critical aspect. um, the other thing is that while I was learning, so when I graduated, when I had my Visharad degree, we had a course textbook. So we appear for examination both in theory and in practical. And those textbooks are so outdated. So they have gurus from 1800s. Now these are all the newer gurus who have, who have been the torch bearers. But there is no mention of these gurus. There is no mention of performing artists. The styles of Bharatnatyam have evolved so much. So there is no mention to it. So I think that those should be included. And the last point that I would want to put forth is the discipline of the dance. So each of these classical dance forms, they have their own discipline. So Bharatnatyam has its own discipline that it got from where it originated in Tamil Nadu. But then even the gurus who have learned from the under that discipline have changed or have modified their styles of teaching. So currently I am getting my advanced training from a guru who is associated with the Nalanda Dance and Research Academy in Mumbai, Maharashtra. So the state has changed, and so has the dance discipline. And I have to adapt to his style, his discipline of teaching. So as much as there is a factor of inclusion, there is also a factor of discipline that plays a quite a big part. So when you're teaching the dance to different cultures, students of different culture, you not only modify the dance for teaching, so that teaching could be made easier, but you also bring a different sort of discipline to the dance form itself, to the learning itself. And I'm learning a different discipline, so that's what I feel it is. So these are some of the factors, and these are not trivial issues that can be just addressed very easily. They need to be thought through. They need to be, the teaching canvas needs to be redesigned, and I think it's about time that the gurus and the artists put an effort towards it. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and my sincere apologies to Leela Sampson if this video comes across as offensive. That's definitely not the intention. She's highly respected guru in the Bharatnatyam dance community and otherwise too. And I've watched her, I've learned from watching her. So these are just some of the concerns and issues, and I know that some of them may sound controversial, but that's definitely not the intent. So I hope you have enjoyed, and this is my very first video on Bharatnatyam. So please forgive any inconsistencies, or do reach out to me if there are any discrepancies in the facts. But otherwise, keep following and watching the Noteworthy. Thank you.